So our first tweet is from Guillermo from Vercel, announcing that they have a new skill they're working on to migrate Create React App to Next.js. They're looking for apps to test it with. And he says here something that is fascinating, which is pretty confident agent skills can help solve one of the most annoying problems in computer science, legacy software migrations. I find this interesting because there's a piece to it that we'll talk about in a later story, but there is a lot of benefit of this old stuff that engineers don't want to do, keeping the creative part human and giving all the legacy migration stuff. Database migrations maybe are not as safe that you can execute with AI, but in terms of code that's sandboxed and will be going through human PR review, it does make a lot of sense to be like, okay, for example, with Convex, right? Like I have a bunch of backends where I have TRPC, for example, or even just Next API routes, and I want to switch those to Convex because you get all the real-time stuff without having to use a WebSocket service or a real-time service. I actually have an AWS API gateway WebSocket set up for one of them, and it does work well, and AI actually kind of improved the reliability of that as well. But even then, I still want to move to Convex, right? And I'm like, well, in the pre-AI days, that's like a 6-week process potentially to move everything over to Convex, and you have to do a ton of testing, you have to do a huge data migration, and it's very scary and almost like never worth it, You just want to stick on the infrastructure that's reliable, and it's actually kind of problematic if people are coming in and saying, oh, we should migrate everything over to this new solution without like really, really good reasons. And real time may not be a good enough reason, for example. But now, in the age of AI, it makes a lot more sense potentially to do these big migrations and see, and even like do a proof of concept overnight, for example, of like, here's what it would look like to do the migration, and even have like a pilot version going, while you're keeping the old one going, and all of these different things that are like best practices that we've thought about before, but are now implementable in these small teams.